Can you believe it? We are almost at the end of the year. And today I wanted to share some top takeaways from 2021 and also some trends that we can expect to see in 2022. I am Dr. Nadia, founder of the Doyen Agency and creator of Straight Talk About Sales. Tune in as we share more about sales trends from 2021. Oh my goodness, it's the end of the year, and I and the team have just been looking a lot at our own processes and how we're preparing to close out this year, but also as we prepare to move into the new year. And one of the things that I like to do at the end of the year is just take a look at some takeaways or trends that we saw from this year, but also what are the things that we can expect going into the new year. And boy, there were a lot of juicy ones. But today I'm only going to share five. So these are the five that I felt not only resonated the most with us here at the Doyen Agency, but also just felt like they were trends or takeaways that could really stand the test of time. And so they're not always, shifting and moving, but who knows? Because there was also a lot of really great ones that I might mention just as some extras. But here we go. So the first trend or takeaway that I saw and that we'll definitely see more of moving into the new year is that sales is a team sport. So a big shift away from just solo sales people operating alone. But I think it's not only that, because personally, I feel like that's always been the case of sales being a team sport. But you're starting to see more people to accept and really embrace how different teams work together in order to help an organization or a company reach their sales goals. So as you're building out your teams, as you're looking at how you are moving your business forward into the new year, how can you make sure that even if your team members are not in a quote unquote sales role, that they understand how their role and the things that they do or don't do impact the company's bottom line. So you're starting to see this move away from so many silos within a company where teams are actually working together so that they understand who's on first, who's on second, but then also how what happens over in the marketing team or customer service or operations, how that impacts sales. So teams are really starting to understand that. So even if you have a really small team or you're like Dr. Nadia, I'm still a solopreneur, as you're growing and as you're shifting, it's important that you understand how all those different pieces work together so that when you are at the place to build your sales team, you will be able to build it in a way from the start that all of your teams are communicating and that they have a way of understanding how their roles impact one another. So there's that level of transparency and you don't have those silos within your organization. The second one is an increased focus on customer success. So now we're seeing this trend, and this was exciting to see a focus on helping clients achieve success. So we're starting to see a shift from just talking about the results or how others have had success, but really building programs and having a focus on helping clients achieve their own success. So as you're looking at your programs, your services, how you work with clients, what are the ways that you can build in milestones and checkpoints, but also ways to really ensure that you're doing your part to help clients achieve success. Now, I understand, especially if you're a coach, that there are certain things that the clients must do, but how can you build in that level of transparency so that they are clear on their role and they are clear on your role? So one of the things that we do here at the agency is we have our client agreement, and I forget the actual formal term that we use here at the agency, but we have basically it's a client agreement, and it outlines here is what you can expect from us, but here's also what we can expect from you. And we have that level of transparency built in because we want to see our clients win. So how can you take that idea and implement that and then build those different milestones if you haven't already within your company, and then even in your marketing and your sales process to really talk about your commitment and your desire to really see your clients succeed, and then back it up with your actions. Okay. So that was really exciting to see that shift really taking place more industry wide and not just seeing it here or there within one or two organizations. The third one is somewhat related, and just you seeing that trend, which I always think has been there, but I think it's definitely one of those ones that's being highlighted more, is the focus on value-based sales. So again, very similar to having a focus on client success. When you're having those sales conversations, when you're looking at your marketing with your marketing teams and you're putting that out there, really talking about the value that your services or programs provide to clients so that they are clear on how it is they'll be different, or their organizations will be different as a result of working with you. So definitely taking a look at understanding and getting clear on the value that you and your programs or services provide. So that's a big one that is really exciting to see, but also I think that that's one of those trends that will stand the test of time, that if you haven't been doing that, you're definitely seeing where that conversation is a lot more at the forefront as we start to shift into 2022. Yay. Number 4 is personalized experiences for prospects. Now, how do you, as you're looking at your client or customer journey, even before they get to that point of saying yes, how can you start to personalize the interactions for your prospects and your leads? So even looking at how you tie in maybe how you're showing up online in social media, what that looks like when people actually join your email list, or if you're doing any offline marketing, how do you really personalize those experiences based on the individual? So one of those trends that we're not going to talk about a lot, but I definitely saw as I was doing some of my research, is AI. So AI is definitely one of those things, those trends I would say that's coming up and being used more and more. We're starting to hear a lot more about that in the marketplace, and not just in sales, but in all types of industries. And so how can you leverage AI or automation or any of these different tools and resources to customize the buyer experience as they are going through that journey, making up their decision, build a relationship with you to decide if this is the company they want to work with? And so each person is different. I love this because one of the things we teach here, even with having sales conversations, is how do you customize a conversation based on the person you're talking to at that moment. And so this just takes that and blows it out, not only when you're in that at that stage where you're having a conversation, but now the entire experience can be customized to that person, to the individual. And so this is exciting. And this was one of those trends that is probably going to take you a moment to take a step back and really look at how you interact with your leads and prospects, but then also what are the ways and tools and resources that'll help you to be able to make those shifts and adjustments over the course of the next year and beyond. Because I have a feeling AI isn't going anywhere. We're probably just going to hear more and more about it. So let's see how we can use that to our benefit, but to also just really help to drive home some of the beliefs we have around sales and how we interact with our prospects and our leads. I know that's a big thing for us here, one of our big values here at the Doing Agency. And so we're really excited to dig into more of that. So expect to see more of that from us over the next year and beyond, but then also, how can you take advantage of that particular trend or takeaway from this year as we start to shift into next year? And then the final one definitely was I was really excited to see it. I'm like, this is what I've been talking about. But you're also, number 5, seeing an increased focus on conversation and connection. Now, while social selling definitely was one of the takeaways from this year that we won't spend a lot of time talking about, but while social selling is definitely on the rise and a lot of people are engaging with it, especially with the millennials and the Z generation, you're starting to see conversation about that. It was interesting that while that is a big trend, and that is definitely a way to begin the connection, there was still an important focus on conversation. So at some point in the sales process, a conversation and a connection took place, or you're starting to see that trend that even though we're doing a lot on social, you're starting to see that, and we've been seeing that, I should say, that focus on social selling and being able to connect and doing things in the inbox. There's still conversation and connection that people want. They want that conversation and connection. And so, how can you build that into your sales process? Even if it's a short conversation, it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out conversation, but don't shy away from, or don't think that we don't ever have to have another sales conversation in our businesses just because we're now all doing social selling, right? So even if you're leveraging social selling, I want you to go back, evaluate your process, and look at ways or when you might invite someone to have a conversation. And like I said, it can be a brief conversation, but people still want to have that connection before they're making the final decision, right? To say yes, to move forward, and all of that good stuff, and then move into that next stage within our customer journeys and our businesses. So these are 5 trends and takeaways that I saw from this year that I feel strongly will definitely move forward into 2022. You'll see an increased focus. And I also felt that they were very valuable to the growth of your business and the impact that you can make with your leads and prospects. So, as you're taking time at the end of this year or at the top of next year to evaluate your processes and get everything in place to move forward, I invite you to even review this video for these trends. And, what are some of the takeaways and things that you might implement within your organization to help it move forward? And I know I briefly mentioned I would add 6 and 7, which were AI and social selling, as definitely big takeaways and continued trends that I believe we'll see going into 2022. All right. Thank you so much for joining. If you're definitely wanting to focus on improving sales, looking at your sales processes and all of that for 2022, I invite you to join our training that we'll be hosting on January 13th, 2022. Tighten up your sales game. And we are going to be looking at processes and how your systems and how you can really create and build a system and a client or customer journey that will help you to have consistent cash flow within your business. So if that is something that you are like, yes, Dr. Nadia, I know we need to tighten up our sales game. There's some gaps that we've identified, and I would love to have you join us on January 13th. Visit tightenupyoursalesgame.com to reserve your seat, and I'll see you there. Have a great day.